Welcome to Fuck Around and Find Out Perimenopause Edition, the show where we talk about real shit that women go through when their doctors gaslight them, their bodies betray them, and their spark disappears. Today's guest is Kayla McKinnon, who has been working with us for about 2 years now. And I have to warn you, this one is going to hit deep. Kayla came to us after experiencing not one, not two, but 4 miscarriages. She begged her doctor to run labs. She knew something was wrong with her hormones, but instead of help, she was dismissed. Just told, just try again. So in this episode, we're going to talk about the emotional trauma of being gaslit by the medical system, what actually helped her carry a pregnancy to term after 4 losses, how she lost 20 pounds while pregnant, and why she says this coaching program was the best thing that made her feel seen for the first time in years. So let's dive in. Well, I wanted to see if we could reflect on when we very first signed you up for this coaching program, because now it's been, I think, a couple years. Do you remember where you were at mentally, emotionally, physically around that time?
Emotionally drained from trying to figure out how to make some progress on losing fat. I felt like I was an uphill battle. I tried a lot of things and nothing was working for me at all. I wouldn't see any change in the mirror. I wouldn't see any change on the scale. I was just um, and I was super frustrated because, I knew no doctor told me, but I knew that it had to have an effect on my fertility. I had to. I knew I was carrying extra weight and I knew that was going to cause me issues and I wanted to lose it. So it's frustrating. I was trying to eat even for my hormones and it wasn't doing anything. So I was just spinning my wheels.
So I'm curious, when you say you were trying to eat for your hormones, what exactly did that look like? And where did you get the insight to determine how to eat that
I
way?
did a lot of, online research. What I did was mostly what's called pro-metabolic. I think people have kind of branched away from it, but a lot of healthy fats, which is where I know now my downfall was because I wasn't tracking macros. I was eating too many fats and too many carbs instead of one or the other being obviously you can't just do that and things trend well. Eating things like carrot salad to help. It's supposed to help with estrogen, helping get that out of your body because I was pretty sure I had an estrogen dominance issue based off of my symptoms with spotting before my period and a short luteal phase. And so that's the short version of it.
And when you said that you knew you had to eat in accordance to your hormones, but no doctor told you that you needed to do that to help with your fertility, I'm curious, what did you go to your doctor seeking? And then what kind of support did they give you back? Because I know that this fertility was a struggle for you for a long time.
Yeah, basically I had first miscarriage that I had. That was my first hint that I had issues. And they basically said, well, we don't do anything with one. That's normal. It's 1 in 4 women that experience this. So just try again. It's nothing wrong with you. And, okay, fine. But that's hard to hear when you lost a baby you wanted. But okay. So I'm okay, fine. 1 in 4. And then I don't remember the odds of the next one being a miscarriage. But it's obviously even it's less than that, if you've had one, the odds you're going to have another one immediately following super low. And then I had another one. And so I'm oh, they're definitely going to listen to me now, right? I had 2 in a short amount of time. They just blew me off again. I asked for labs. I was specifically was I think I have low progesterone or something, something's out of balance with my estrogen and my progesterone. That's why I went to researching it myself because I'm trying to get them to do anything. And they basically told me that's not covered. I said, can't you just do the lab so I know what my levels are and we can go from there? And they're no, because you'd be treated as part of the infertility clinic. That isn't under your coverage. It's an additional cost.
Wow. And you obviously did your research because you went to them saying, I know I have an estrogen and progesterone imbalance. And you weren't wrong because we've started fixing that.
Yeah, exactly. And the pregnancy that I did carry after 4 losses, I was on progesterone supplementation. And I still believe that's the only reason that I carried her to term. I had to go to a specialist, and it's just crazy. Even when I look back, the like specialty, like the fertility clinic, there's some labs I'm like, they didn't even run those. So it's, it was a battle, that's for sure.
What was the point that you realized, like, I can't keep going to the doctor expecting a different answer? Like, when was the point that you realized that you needed to look in a different direction for help?
I think it was either after my second or my third miscarriage. Like I could just tell that weren't gonna do anything for me at all. Like, just asking for a simple lab and getting pushback on it and like being told it's okay, wait, after the second one they say like, oh well, we don't do anything till three, there's not really any concern, it could still just be like just the odds weren't in your favor, and then you look in your chart and they're like extended time counseling patient because she was emotional. And you're just like, no
Oh
offense,
my
but
God.
F you all, because you do
Yeah.
not care about me. You care about your billing hours and all of that shit.
That is obscene that you have to wait until your third miscarriage for them to even entertain lab work. Lab work isn't that wildly expensive. That's why
Yeah.
we finally have been able to include it in your coaching because it's this important. And
Hmm.
it's really like in the grand scheme of things, not that great of an investment. Like it's a great investment, but not that huge, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. I still am baffled, to be honest. Like, I still can't wrap my head around it. And like, I've tried to get them to, you know, run thyroid labs at your guys' recommendation and other labs. They like run TSH and like you and I know that's not the full picture. That's a like teeny tiny window. And it's like, well, that looks fine. Okay. But there can be things that aren't fine even when TSH is fine. So,
Mhm.
but they just won't. So yeah, that's been a struggle for me for sure.
And it's just so infuriating that you had to go through so many losses in order to find some answers on what was wrong. And I think you're the only woman that has come to us and wanted to do something like this while you're already pregnant. A lot of women wait until after the pregnancy, you know? So I'm curious, what was the reason behind that? Why did you think, like, I should work with a health coach, even though I'm 8 weeks pregnant? Because I think you came to us like just a couple
Yeah.
months in.
I was still in my first trimester when I first talked to you, when we had our like consultation. I mean, I was reading through a lot of the stuff about like hormones and balancing, and like that resonated with me on your Instagram. And then I noticed that you had coaches that like could work with people who are pregnant. And like the fact of like, you know, I think all the people I've had like in my life that have been pregnant, they gain like 20, 30, 60 pounds. And I'm like, I can't afford that. Like, I don't know if that will equal a healthy pregnancy if I continue the pregnancy, if I gain that much weight. Like, I'm 5 foot 1 inch. Like, I can't carry 30 more pounds. Like, my joints are gonna fall apart.
Mhm.
So, I think that was most of it, is I just don't want to go down that road. I'm already not in a great spot. Like, I'm already trying to improve where I'm at. So I don't want to like go like completely backwards.
Yeah. How did that pregnancy feel for you?
It felt great, to be honest. Because when I started working um, with Chima in like the second try, beginning of the second try is when I started working with her, like staying moving, like getting moving, working out, and like eating like high protein. Like I think it completely changed the game for me. Like all my friends who like I got to know like through like in social media that were pregnant at the same time of me as me, like struggled with like weight gain that they didn't like they struggled a lot with postpartum, like getting back on their feet. Yeah, I struggled with like some things, obviously hormonally, because that's like a huge shift in hormones when you give birth. But like I never had that. Like I had a C-section and I was like, okay, I'm gonna be down for the count. I was fine like 2 days later. And I think a lot of that goes to like staying moving throughout the pregnancy.
That's pretty insane that you were okay just a couple days later. But also, you went all the way up until I think like just a couple weeks before your delivery date, right? Like you were still very active all the way up until a couple weeks.
Yeah, I'm still working out. Like I think the week I gave birth, like I was still doing everything and I was working too. Like I made sales calls like the day before I went into my water broke and all of that, and I was in the hospital to give birth. Like I was literally like I went to the last minute. So
Wow, you're a fucking rock star for doing that. Of all the excuses to not work, Being pregnant, having a baby, bringing life into this world and putting your body through so much.
I think back on it and I'm like, man, how did I do that? But you just in the mindset and you just grind. Like it's I think I think a lot of it comes from like you're pretty inspiring. Time was pretty inspiring as far as like you guys just, you don't make excuses and you just do. And so having those kinds of people around you, and like cheering you on and saying, hey, like that helps a lot, at least for my personality. Like that's huge for me.
So I'm curious, what surprised you most about the process of working with a coach during your pregnancy?
I will always say eating more calories than I was eating and losing weight. That was that's still mind blowing to me. And like anybody I talk to, they're like, "My gosh, are you like for real?" And I'm like, I was tracking, yes. Like, yeah, I ate a lot and like I made a lot of progress.
Yeah. Do you remember how much you lost? Because I believe you were losing fat during your pregnancy.
Yeah. I think I think around 20 pounds like of my weight loss was while I was pregnant. Like so from like the time like I maybe even more because where I'm trying to think back to like before we even were working together technically. And so it's yeah, I think 20 pounds is like a fair, that's for sure. It's if not more.
Yeah. So you lost 20 pounds while being pregnant
Yeah.
and took your first full term pregnancy to the very, very end after three previous miscarriages.
Yep. Actually, four previous miscarriages. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. I mean, because this really is due to all your hard work. So I'm curious, what are you most proud of over the last couple years?
I'm really proud of like when I think back on it, I'm really proud of working out while I was pregnant. Like, you see the reels of people doing that, and you're like, what a badass. But
Yeah.
I'm like, this is just, just my like assigned workout. And I look back and I'm like, no, I was a fucking badass too. Like, that's not, most people are like, nope, I don't want to do that. You
Mhm.
know, I had a lot of pelvic pain and I still got on the treadmill and walked because I knew it was good for me in the long run. There was nothing like getting worse for me walking. Like I'm proud of myself for like staying with it through everything that I've been through, to be honest.
Mhm.
Like there's been a lot, as you know.
Yeah. I wonder, why do you think that is? Because you have been through a lot, and we definitely don't have to get into it. Actually, we probably shouldn't today. But with all that life has thrown at you over the last couple years, why do you feel like you still continue to show up and still continue working with your coach, even though it probably has crossed your mind at some point or another, like, I can't do this. I can't afford to do this anymore. This is too much on my plate.
Yeah, it has. There's definitely been moments where I'm like, I should just throw in the towel, but like when it comes back to it, I know I need to invest in me. And that's hard for me to do, but like my husband is great and encourages me that in that too. Like I need to be healthy to pour into others. If I'm not healthy and I'm not thriving, then like how am like my personality type, I'm a type 2 or an Enneagram 2 and like I just pour into others. I like nonstop pour into others. And like I literally like this is my gift to myself.
That's really not an easy thing to follow through on because we hear it all the time. And I think logically we all know, like, I have to take care of myself or I can't can't take care of anybody else, right? But it's so much easier to say.
It's way easier to say. It's not always been easy. Like, trust me, you could ask my husband and he'd be like, yep, there's been like a handful of times where she's like, we should just quit. This is expensive. I don't need it. I can figure it out. Like, but he's really been like I a huge asset to me during when I do have those doubts. Like having a supportive spouse is huge because those moments where you're like, I'm not worth it, it's like, yes, you are. You are worth it. Like just keep going. Like give it another week. Like my cousin, when I was breastfeeding, said something to me that I now tell other people in regards to like fitness and stuff. But it's like, don't give up on a bad day. If it's a good day and you still don't want to do it anymore, okay. But if it's a bad day, you don't even get the option. Just keep going.
That is probably the best advice ever for anything, because especially as women, we tend to make very emotional decisions that affect us long term, but we're making that emotional decision off of a short term instance.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that like comes to me in my like darkest moments. I'm like, nope, can't quit today. It's a bad day. We don't do that.
Right. Yeah. Because especially with our cycles, we all have 7 bad days a month. Every month I want to quit something.
Exactly.
I love that advice. We need to make a t-shirt that says that.
Yeah, we do.
Are you on your period? Okay, you're not quitting. Talk to me when you get off your period.
It's like a new check mark on the check-in.
Well, I'm wondering, what would you say to the woman that is in the position that you were, going to the doctor, not getting any answers, but still feeling like that's her only source of support? And so she continues to go back to the doctor and they continue to refuse the labs. What would you say to her?
Tell her to stop wasting her time because, quite frankly, unless you go to a specialist, you're not going to get anywhere. That they don't understand, really, quite honestly, like they don't understand the hormone, like all the levels they need to, like all the minutia of it. And like now that I've found you guys, and I know like people might be like, oh, she's just saying that because she's talking to Sab right now. But like find something like this where you have people like that have understanding of how these hormone levels affect your overall health. Like it's not even just for pregnancy. It's like for how you feel. Like, do you want to feel good? And like to me, this I would point them to you guys because you guys are a huge asset with the hormone testing now that you're doing. To me, like you guys are like an all-in-one because like getting your eating on track, you're getting your workouts on track, and you're getting hormone testing. Like that's all going to funnel into like getting you where you need to go for all those things to like turn around for you and like at least find answers, right? You know, that not everybody's gonna have a healthy pregnancy. You can't promise that because you don't know, but at least you'll get answers.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's really all we're looking for, right? We just want to have an understanding of what the fuck is going on with our body.
Exactly. Like
Right.
that's empowering when you find out what's going on after years of being gaslit, basically.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being so open and vulnerable with me. I know that some of the subjects that we touched on are really challenging and they're probably still very emotional when you think about them. So I want you to know how much I appreciate you being open and willing to share about that because your story is going to help a lot of women that are struggling in the same way and being told, oh, 1 in 4, it's normal. It doesn't have to be 1 in 4 if you fucking run everyone's labs when they have a miscarriage. Like,
Why is
what?
it so hard to do that?
And that's the thing, it's fucking not. And that's why the other day when Lindsay told me, like, I think Kayla needs some labs. Well, we have that ability now, so we're just gonna fucking do it. We just ordered you lab work that day because it's not that fucking hard.
Exactly.
You just have to give a shit.
Hallelujah. Like on this end, when I got that message that, hey, we're doing hormone labs, I'm like, sweet. Like this is what I've needed.
Yeah.
It's gonna make me feel like so seen, you know? But like as far as everything, I'm happy to share because if I can help one person that's going through this, to me, that's worth it.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you are in a place where you're not getting answers like Kayla wasn't, if you're being told that your labs are normal and you're sick and fucking tired of it, if you want to finally feel like your damn self again, send me the note reset. I'll send you our free hormone reset blueprint, which will get you started towards feeling like yourself again. And if that still isn't enough and you want a full expert team and your labs and a one-on-one coach with a proven system that works, girl, you don't have to keep waiting. Just send me a note and say, I'm ready, and we'll get you started today.